Well, ladies and gentlemen, in this video, I am going to be doing a 2024 election, but it's a little bit different. It's going to be based off of the primary system. So if we had a primary system for the general election, this would be my prediction. Just a little bit, just something unique maybe. We've got some more territories here voting. Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, all of them. We're going to go through them. And this is more of an, maybe popular vote type thing where based on percentage, that's how much you get rewarded. If, Trump gets 25% in New York, he doesn't get 0 delegates like he would with the Electoral College. He does get some delegates in terms of that. This is delegates, not electoral votes. Obviously, this is not happening, but it is just kind of a funny little experiment I'm doing. And then I am going to be referencing the actual margins from 2020 to kind of give myself a little bit of a just some leeway in terms of looking back and maybe adjusting it. You can see Washington, for example, Biden won at 58% to basically 39%. So when it comes to a state like Washington, I think Harris will probably give up a little bit. That's mainly based off of the trends we've seen in Oregon. So maybe she only gets around, I would say around maybe 55%. 53, 55%. Trump obviously getting most of the rest. Normally when it comes to these third parties, I might be giving Kennedy a few here and there, but I would say like Washington would be around 56 to 42. Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate, honestly, because Washington, again, like Oregon, maybe we haven't seen many polls, but I saw a few polls that had about a 10-point lead for Biden. Harris, it might be a little bit more, but still Trump getting some delegates in Washington, and then Kennedy's probably going to get maybe 15 to 16 total delegates. We'll have to see if Stein and West get any, but that's just an example of how I would do it. So you can see Harris right now at 24 delegates. Trump is at 18. We are going to be doing all of these. So American Samoa, I would say maybe it's only 9. I'm going to give Harris 5 and Trump 4. That's just how I'm going to do this. You could argue maybe one of the other candidates would get some, but I'm not going to, when it comes to these other territories, Guam, it's also 9. I'm probably, the common belief I think is many of these are just slightly more liberal. I'm going to give Harris 5 on this and Trump 4 on it. I'm not going to give the other candidates any. This, again, with 9, I'm going to give Trump 5 on the Northern Maridians and Harris at 4. Virgin Islands, I'm going to give... we're going to split this up a little bit more. We're going to go Trump at 3, Harris at 3, Kennedy at 1, Stein at 1, Oliver at 1. That's how we'll split that up. You can see Puerto Rico is more liberal. Harris probably gets like 14. I would say Trump gets like 8, and then Kennedy will get the final one there. So that's just kind of how I'll split it up. It's kind of just a funny little thing. Next, you do have Oregon. So it's interesting. You look back at the election here. Oregon, Biden getting around 56%, Trump at 40. So that's a 16-point lead. I think it could be a little bit closer. So I would say maybe Harris down to 51, 54. Trump gets basically all the rest. No, I would actually bring Harris down even more based off of some of these recent polls. I'm not even kidding. I would say probably something like that. We're 51 to 45, and then Kennedy gets the rest at around 3%. California, probably about a 24-point win for Harris. What did Biden get? 63 to 34. Yeah, so I would say about 50, 59. Trump likely getting the rest. Or, yeah, I would say Trump getting the rest there. Idaho, obviously, is going to be a heavy Trump state for sure. 63 to 33 for Idaho. I would say like for Trump, maybe like 65, maybe like 65 for Trump if it can update. Things lagging already. 65 for Trump, maybe like 28 for Harris, and then we will give RFK the rest. So that is Idaho, Montana. I would say probably a 20-point win for Trump. So maybe he gets to like 58. Harris is at like 30. 38, Kennedy gets the last one there. Wyoming, even a bigger victory for Trump, maybe around a 68, 72. Very, very conservative state. Harris at a 24%. And we will give Stein 1. We give Jill Stein now has 2. You can see the difference here. Harris at 199, Trump at 185. Colorado is definitely going to be a liberal win for Harris. It's hard to really say because the polls with Biden and Trump were close, but I would say probably like 56 to 42, 56 maybe to 40, and then Kennedy gets one. North Dakota, very conservative, probably like 70. I mean, I'm not even sure these margins Trump got 65 to 31. Trump got 65 to 31 on that. So I would say like, yeah, 65. I'll probably just keep it around the same. 65 to 31. Kennedy gets the other one. South Dakota maybe slightly more liberal than that. So 58 to 34. Kennedy gets one. Oliver gets one as well. Nevada, obviously, this is a big swing state, but in this, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as much. They all kind of have the same weight because it's based off of population. Maybe this is the new thing for liberals. Use this for the general election. Yeah, I mean, this is like a representation via popular vote. But I would say Trump probably around 46, Harris around maybe 49. If you give him 50, it becomes harder because maybe 50 to 46, and then we'll give Kennedy one. Utah, Trump obviously probably around 60. Utah tends to vote a little bit weirder. Harris probably around something like that. Kennedy gets one. Oliver gets one. Libertarian. Arizona, another big swing state. I would say Trump, we're just going to give Trump around 48. Harris probably around 43. 48, 44. We'll give Kennedy 2. We'll give Stein 1. Next, we do have New Mexico. Harris, I would say, wins this possibly with like a 54 to 45, I would say. Yeah, I'm not going to give anyone else any there. Texas, I would say Trump probably wins this by about 9 points. So this one obviously has a ton based on the population. So I would say like 56 to... No, it's going to be less than that. So Trump maybe around like 54. Harris at around like 44. Kennedy gets maybe 2. And that's good. Oklahoma, Trump heavily, maybe around 67, 70%. Like, what are some of these margins? 65. Seems like Trump always gets around 65, 60. Yeah, so most of these are around in the 60s when they're really heavy Republican states. We'll say 65. Harris gets 30. We'll say Stein gets 2. I mean, why would Stein... Okay, that's just dumb. We'll say Kennedy gets 2. I mean, Kennedy's getting some delegates here. Good for him. But Trump right now at 420, Harris at 381. Harris is going to try and make up ground in New York, mainly with the population there. But we will see. Moving on to Nebraska. So this is one where Trump would have a much bigger advantage because of the way it's split. Statewide, Trump would probably take it with like 61 to 40, I would say. Yeah, that's how we'll do that. Kansas, it's probably going to be about 14-point victory for Trump. Something like that, possibly. 56 to 43, that looks right. Minnesota is going to be a Harris victory, at least that's what I predict right now. Possibly around 56 to... No, I don't think it's going to be that big of a victory. 53, 4... Yeah, that's about right. Iowa's going to be a Trump victory, possibly by around 18 points, maybe. We'll do something like that. That looks good. Missouri, I'm going to stop including the third parties just because it's easier. Missouri's probably like Trump around 61, 62. Harris at around 39. Arkansas, we're going to go basically the same thing. Trump around 62. Harris at around 37. Louisiana, same thing. We'll go Trump with like 63. Harris with 37. Mississippi, same thing. It's all these SEC states. We'll say Trump at around 61, Harris at around 39 then. Alabama, same thing. Trump at around 60, 63, Harris 37. Georgia, I mean, obviously it's a big swing state. I would say very, very close. We'll say Trump at around 51, Harris at 49. South Carolina, Trump's probably around like 57 in this. 58, Harris 42. Florida, Trump possibly winning this state by about 10. We'll go like 56 to 40. We'll bring it down a little bit. We'll go 54 to 49. That's a 9-point victory there. That seems relatively realistic. North Carolina, very, very close. North Carolina, I would say Trump at around 49. Harris probably at around 49. So almost like I think Trump's probably going to win that state. So we'll put Trump at 49, Harris at 46, and then we'll just supplement the rest, give them to Kennedy there. We do have Tennessee, Trump probably around 61 here, 62. I'll give Harris all the rest. We do have Kentucky, Trump probably sitting, I wonder if Kentucky was a bigger, 62. I mean, all of these are basically the same thing. They're all in the range of like 60 to 62. So I'm not really going to mess with that. I mean, you could argue Trump possibly could get a little bit more based on it's looking like he's getting more support, but I'm not going to really change that right now. Trump probably around 56, Harris around 44. You could argue maybe it's only a 10-point victory in Ohio for Trump. It just depends. Next, you do have Indiana. I would say Trump probably around 60, Harris at 40, maybe a little bit less. Maybe we'll bring Trump down slightly, bring Harris up. That's fine. Michigan, very, very close. Very close. I'd say like 49-49 right now, honestly. 49-49. Kennedy will give him one. Wisconsin, we'll say 49-49. It's inconsequential right now just because it's, in terms of doing a prediction like this, it doesn't really matter with those states just because it's based more so off election. Trump over 1,000 delegates now. You do have Illinois, so Harris definitely winning Illinois. Some positive polling for Trump in Illinois against Biden, which could mean that maybe he doesn't get blown out in the state. Maybe it's something like 57-43. That looks relatively right there. Virginia, I would say Harris lane. Harris possibly around 52 right now. Trump around 47. You could argue maybe a little bit more of a Harris win, but that looks pretty good. Next, you have West Virginia, Trump around 60 or so. Harris at around 38. Pennsylvania, I would basically split it again. You could argue maybe a slight Trump victory, but it would be split and then Kennedy gets one. I mean, all these states are very close. It's hard to really give a prediction on those right now, just in terms of the general. Alaska, Trump takes it. Not by a ton. I'd say like 57-43. Hawaii, Harris takes it. Obviously, maybe around like 63. Trump gets the rest. Next, you do have New York. So I would say Harris takes New York. But there were some interesting polls that had only Trump down by about 10. So maybe 56-44. Maybe something like this, I would say, for New York. And then you've got all these smaller states. So D.C., obviously Harris winning basically. I mean, like 90%. I'm not even lying. I would probably give Cornell West one here. Let me just do this. We'll give West one. We'll give West one and Trump two there. Next, you have Maryland. Harris getting around, I'd say 62. Trump getting the rest. Delaware. Harris getting probably around 62. Trump getting the rest. New Jersey. Trump was very competitive in New Jersey, possibly around 46. Harris wins that state by about 7 or 8, I would say right now. Connecticut, Harris wins heavily, 64-35. Rhode Island, Harris wins 63-37. Massachusetts, Harris wins 65-35. Vermont, Harris is going to win 64-35. I actually don't even know what these margins were. Vermont was 66. Some of these are a little bit more, some of them are less. Yeah, it's about. I mean, some of them are like 57, some of them are 66. I have them basically all at 63, so it's fine, I guess. New Hampshire, very close state. I would say Harris slightly wins it. So I'd say Harris 50, Trump probably 45, and then give Kennedy the rest. And then also Maine, which is done differently a little bit. I would say Maine probably 45-40 to 50-45-5. That's probably how Maine would look. So yeah, this is just a little fun thing. I think I filled out all of them right. A little fun thing. Trump at over 1,000, 1,268. Harris about 100 behind. Kennedy with 26, Stein with 3, West with 1, Oliver with 3. How did Oliver end up with more than West? I don't know. I think I just had fun with it, honestly. But I mean, listen, he's a libertarian. West, he's more of just a no man in terms of policy or at least party. So that would basically be it. Kind of just a fun thing doing it. This would be more so in terms of population. I guess you could argue that it's not the exact popular vote, but it would be based more so off of that, and it would be relatively close. I mean, you could argue some of these margins. Maybe Trump doesn't get 65 there. Maybe he gets 62. Maybe it's a little bit different. Kennedy doesn't get one. Harris gets the rest. But I still think Trump would probably win in a situation like this. Even if you wanted to give Georgia to Harris, it would just be a two delegate swing. All of these are a tie, so just an interesting little idea there. And also you include the nice little territories as well. The territories get some representation. It shows that we have a nice amount of land. Let's just say that. We've got the territories. We've got more states over here. We're going to be having Greenland soon up here. We're going to be having some of the northern territories in Canada as well, possibly joining us when Trump gets in. So that will be a nice territorial expansion. But either way, guys, that will do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.